now that you're here, Chris, you're going to do the intro.
Welcome, one and all, to the Great Grumpy Dungeon Master Podcast. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher with some other dudes.
Fantastic. Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay. Got Grumpy Dungeon Masters Christian and Dan with us, as always.
Up.
We got to come up with like a gang name or something.
I'm pretty sure we have one.
The Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
Yeah. There it is.
Before you got here, Chris, we were talking about Gary Con coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to get in touch with Luke Gygax again.
Yeah.
He'll come back on to discuss it again.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be a lot of fun. So, but it's the holidays. You know how it is. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah. It'll be January or February if we're able to schedule that. So
yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's as life-changing as I want it to be.
That's
as to what changes in my life, I have no idea.
That you went to Gary Con.
Yep. Yeah, as you've never been, that would be a change.
I have a hard time setting expectations.
I can see that. No wonder you're always disappointed.
I'm just a little black rain cloud hovering under the honey tree. So, how you guys enjoy your turkey mat Thanksgiving dinners and all that stuff?
It was delicious.
Yeah.
As it's supposed to be.
So, after the podcast, I was talking with Jay about another turkey mat incarnation. It was the turducken, and there's a turducken figure out there. And a personal pet peeve of mine is I hate food that I have to work at to get to the food part of it. Like, I don't like shellfish because of that reason. Like, I don't eat crab or lobster. I'm not going to sit there and poke and prod at an exoskeleton to get to some food. So the idea of a turducken always just kind of like befuddled me. It's like you cut through the turkey and you get to the turkey bones, and inside is eventually a chicken, and inside is eventually a duck. That sounds like way too much work to get a small bite of just a couple of pieces. It never occurred to me that you would just debone the turkey, chicken, and duck, wrap it all up into a loaf, and then eat it that way. But
yeah, if this was the Stone Age, you would starve to death.
I mean, probably, yeah. Well, I figured this is the Stone Age that I would be beating up all you small people and just taking your food.
You think he'd be that big if you had to work for your food?
Sure. He's still pretty big. Yeah. I mean, he's still 6'10" or something. So
6'20", half a fucking ton. Get it right, man.
Yeah,
that's true. It's true.
Yeah, he might not be 500 pounds, but he'd still be 6'10".
I had a good weekend. I'm trying to establish some rapport with my daughter about going to see movies during the Thanksgiving week, which is something me and my father had shared. And we went and we saw Moana 2, which was horrible.
Oh, whatever. I saw it today. It wasn't that bad.
It was dumb. But
it was a children's movie, Waples.
The first Moana movie was fantastic. It was amazing.
It was also a children's movie.
But it was fantastic.
But it was fantastic and amazing. Moana 2 was not. It was none of those things. It was a film that was like...
I will say that my 5-year-old would disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's what matters. That's really what matters.
Yep.
However,
there was a warrior coconut in this movie, and you know what? That was awesome.
The warrior coconut was pretty awesome. I really liked the coconut shy guys. They've always been a staple in my family.
Yeah.
So today, though, my daughter and I saw Wicked, which was phenomenal of a movie. Oh yeah, phenomenal. I'm not that big into musicals.
I'm not really into the musicals either, but I have seen the play, the musical, I guess, in theater and the Fox maybe 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
but I'll probably wait till the small screen.
I've read the book and I've seen the stage play twice. I think I'm good on the movie.
Maybe. I mean, it's the same story.
Real quick, because the book and the stage play do not have the same ending. So I'm curious which ending it went with.
This is a 2-part movie.
Oh.
This movie ends once Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, gets the ability to fly on her broomstick.
Right.
and she sings Defy Gravity, which was just an amazing scene. Like, okay, so this is kind of one of the points I want to talk to you guys about. When you guys think of a witch, you probably get the same vision that I get in my head, or my wife got in hers when I talk to her about this, which is essentially the Wicked Witch of the West. Like, we grew up as like, that's what a witch is. You know, pointy black hat, black robes, green skin, long nose, scary fingernails, holds a broom, flies around on the broom, and does scary, horrible things.
But Glenda was a witch too.
That's getting too far into it. So, like, I've been really astounded by how much that witch persona has like permeated into like our popular culture as being like what you identify as a witch. I mean, maybe some people, you know, that grew up more with like Hocus Pocus have a different idea of it. But I will say that I always thought that the magic broom item in D&D was one of the most boring, just meh, kind of like, oh, of course you want a flying magic broom. Who doesn't want a flying magic broom? But I never like envisioned it as being anything cool or anything. There's a scene at the end of the film where she gets the ability to fly on her broom, and it was an incredible scene. Like, it made me want to just get a flying broom kind of thing.
It's that song. It's the fucking song.
It's the song. They do like some Top Gun maneuvers with the broom and shit. It was pretty kick ass. Like, overall, it was pretty kick ass. And I was thinking more about just Wizard of Oz as a whole because we watched the first one with my wife and daughter a little while ago, and I remember that I always liked the Wizard of Oz when I was a kid, and I kind of think like that was my first introduction into fantasy of some kind, because I remember picking up the Oz books when I was a kid during like the Satanic Panic of the 80s, so like Dungeons and Dragons was nothing that I could touch at all. But I remember being able to like pick up and read the Oz books, although I don't remember anything about them at all. And I've always had this fascination with the Oz land and whatnot. And I was just kind of looking through some stuff after I watched the movie. I want to share with you guys the actual map drawn for the Land of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I'll put it in our Discord in our podcast chat channel. And the second I saw it, I was like, "Oh yeah, some kid made this map for his D&D campaign." It's essentially a square rectangle with the north, south, east, and west quadrants, with the Emerald City being dead in the center, surrounded by this like impassable desert with other countries surrounding the desert on the outside. And it just felt like a very basic map. Like, you wouldn't see anything like this nowadays. Like, you would have to have like such an intricate, detailed map with like roads and, you know, all these like nice nitty-gritty details. But this is just a very simple map of just a, you know, just a thing. Here's the map. Just take a look at it. Isn't that amazing? I love how just simple that map is.
The dominions of the Gnome King.
I love
Lowland, Highland.
Yeah, I love the county of the gargoyles.
Yep, country of the gargoyles, which is right next to Bobo Land.
I kind of saw that. I was like, this
Holy
is just...
shit. In the lower right corner, there is the Vegetable Kingdom. That's where Veggie Tales takes place.
Also the country of gargoyles.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the country of gargoyles. I found that interesting. Like, this is what we would have seen when we were kids playing with, like, you know, drawing out our first maps for our homebrew worlds. And,
yeah, it's kind of like a Risk map.
Yeah, but I just thought it was neat. Kind of get to there. You know, it was neat, and just like I said, I've always liked the Wizard of Oz as a whole. You know, so I'm very glad that Wicked has kind of like brought it back into the popular mindset, and witches are now witches again, and I don't know, just happy about all that.
The Wizard of Oz it's 100% permeated our culture. Like you said, all of us I know watched it as kids. You know, the idea that you're talking about witches, growing up, I had storybooks with the green skinned witches with the big nose and the warts on them and everything, and it's because of that film.
And that's what I thought too. Is like I wonder if Oz, the Wizard of Oz, was where that was first depicted that way, and it branched out, or if there was just like that was what people thought witches looked like.
It was
at that point in time.
The green skin that's almost certainly where that came from. The haggard look, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, and probably just some correlation with hags or something there,
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah. Well, so being that I think Wizard of Oz was my first foray into fantasy, what do you think your guys's was? Was it Oz or was it something else?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Actually, I would say Terry Pratchett's The Light Fantastic.
That's an interesting one for that to be your first one.
Yeah, friend of the family wanted to give me a couple of books that, at the age of 10 or 12, I would easily understand, and I picked that one up, and after that, I think it was Sword of Shannara. Picked it up from the middle school library.
It's really difficult for me to say exactly where it started. My mom read mostly children's books to us, but they sort of had fantasy ingrained into them, like stories about witches and things like that. Probably my first memories of movies or anything would have been The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
Or the Wizard of Oz, or literally just any fantasy stuff from that era. Like I grew up.
I don't know. Does the cartoon Robin Hood count? I saw that when I was like
sure, yeah, it could.
I think actually, now that I think about it, probably like Mother Goose fairy tales would be like the first,
Yeah, but we know what you meant by fantasy.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I went from sci-fi because my dad was big into science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I read and got exposed to a lot of science fiction stuff first, and from there I kind of branched out and then looking at stuff found things like Lord of the Rings and genre and some of the eventually D&D novels and those things. But yeah, I started in sci-fi and found my way to fantasy from there.
Yeah, I remember seeing, I actually saw the original movie, The Thing, or the John Carpenter version in the theaters as a kid, as a small kid, which it's a horror movie, but it's also very much sci-fi. I think I saw Alien also. I definitely saw Star Wars. So like any sci-fi shit that was coming out in that era, my mom was going to the theaters and taking us kids with her.
I was reading stuff from like Isaac Asimov, because my dad was a big Asimov fan, and Greg Bear, and those kind of.
Yep, I got a ton of Asimov sitting on the bookshelf over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how big I was into sci-fi as a kid, but I do remember I read Starship Troopers and all the 2001 Space Odyssey, kind of like that whole series that was written for that. I remember my family really loved Star Trek. They weren't much into Star Wars, but definitely Star Trek, the original series. And I always found it very boring because they're just talking, nothing's happening.
But somebody died every episode. They were wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, I watched through the original series, through Next Generation, watched through Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I've watched them as more like teenagers / 20s, and I remember watching them all and enjoying them quite a lot. But just not as a kid. For me, it was always needed the weird, fantastical, crazy things like
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who for a little bit, but even then, that was later in my teens and my childhood. I think my childhood could be wrapped up with just The Wizard of Oz and The Brave Little Toaster being the two movies that I watched on repeat. Oh, and some David Crockett movie that
Yep.
Yeah, all I remember, and there's a scene where some dude has an Indian head in a bag, and that's what he's been eating for months. He keeps canning out all his food.
Oh wow,
it's very weird. Yeah,
that's very very dark.
Yeah, I watched it a lot for some reason, and that just burned into my brain.
That explains so much.
He goes, want some of mine? I got food right here. I'll be good. Yeah.
See that? So that one role playing game where you decided to play the the Dragonborn who eats people.
Yes, that was very much. It was very much brought in from that. Yes, because I could still remember that guy's face and everything. Just like I don't know. I don't know why I watched it. I remember I was told that I broke my leg or something, and I had to basically just sit on the couch forever. And since I couldn't get up, all I did is just play the movie, rewind it all the way, play it again, rewind it all the way, play it again. And now I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, that would have been awful.
I mean, it was the 80s. It was a different time. There's no internet, so like, you know.
Yep. I get it. I had Wayne's World on repeat.
Of course you did.
That's right. So I got to play in my Ravenloft game yesterday, and we accidentally threw the DM for a loop because we had told him kind of where we were planning to go, and he had looked ahead into the adventure to read up on the parts that we were planning to do. And for those of you who have played through Ravenloft, I think all three of you guys have.
Yes.
There's the second quote unquote city that you're supposed to go to called Kresk. And we were trying to head there. We were taking the NPCs that we had with us, Irina and Eastmark, trying to get them into Kresk. And after that, we had planned to go to the Wizards of Wines to find out why all the wine shipments had stopped. So we get to Kresk, and we can't get in the city. The guy won't let us in the city unless we bring him a shipment of wine from the Wizard of Wines. So at that point, it's almost nighttime, and we don't want to camp out in dark. So we have two options. We can try to make it to the Wizard of Wines, or there was a tower where there was another NPC that we knew might be there. We could go meet him, and it was closer. So we decided to go to that tower. All right. We get there. The NPC's not there. We end up just camping out in the tower overnight. Wake up in the morning, and we're like, well, we could go to the Wizard of Wines, but one of the items that we're supposed to have to fight Strahd is probably right across the lake from us. So we decided we're going to go and deal with that first. So the DM had to put the game on a 5-minute pause and actually read up on that part of it. Gotta love throwing the game master for the loop there. So we get across the lake and get into the thing. Turns out it's a fucking werewolf cave. We are 4th level.
You don't
there
say.
There are 4 of us. We have no silvered weapons. We have no magic weapons.
Minor inconvenience.
Yeah, minor inconvenience. We managed to survive the fight, kill the 4 werewolves and their other normal wolves.
Oh, only 4?
Oh, yeah. And
your DM might have been being lenient on you.
It's possible. It is possible. We survived it by the skin of our teeth. We then had to decide whether we want to short rest and then go further into the cave, or go back to the tower and just rest overnight. We decided on the short rest option. At this point, our cleric has literally 1 spell left in memory.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all we need. So we go further into the cave. No werewolves in there, but there is an NPC werewolf that, due to our card reading, is supposed to be our ally against Strahd. She just wants us to help kill the other werewolf that lives in that cave, who is not there at the moment. On top of that, we also have the Raven necklace is in that cave also. So we managed to procure the Raven necklace. We make the deal with the NPC, and right as we were getting ready to leave, the other werewolf shows up, and that's where we had to fucking pause the game at. So when we get back to game here in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have almost no spells. We are at full hit points pretty much, and we have to fight that werewolf plus possibly some other werewolves.
So you're level 4. Your cleric has 1 spell.
We did level up after procuring the necklace, so we are level 5.
Okay, you're level 5, but you haven't rested, so your spellcasters still don't have spells, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
You have a wizard, right?
No, we do not. And we have a warlock, so we're not.
How?
So you got Eldritch Blast. It's okay.
Yeah, you got Eldritch Blast. You'll be fine.
Wait, real quick. How did you level up without long resting?
He said we're level 5, so we're level 5.
Hand wave.
Yes. Game Master being a little lenient there. That's okay.
Yeah, that seems fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You got a warlock with blast.
Listen, in my game, that guy befriended the characters. So, maybe that's an option. Who knows?
Maybe
somebody with a high charisma might be able to worm their way out of fighting the guy.
Well, we kind of have to kill him because the other NPC that's supposed to help us with Strahd wants him dead. So, yeah, card reading.
Now might not be the time.
Yeah, maybe come back. But
maybe come back with a magic weapon or 3.
Well, there's also the problem of there are a bunch of kids in there that he's planning to turn into werewolves. So we can't just leave them. Oh, I forgot to mention, me and one of the other players also caught lycanthropy.
You're on. You should be on his side then. So why fight him now?
That seems
join the werewolf
seems
side.
Fine.
Yeah. I love this campaign so fucking much.
Yep. Will not love it when you lose control of yourself.
Well, whatever. Well,
or will he?
Yeah, or will I? Our cleric, now that they are 5th level, does in fact have a remove curse. So maybe I won't. We'll see.
Isn't lycanthropy more of a genetic disorder?
Maybe.
The game.
Yeah.
I mean, all the British royal family has it, right?
What?
Yeah, they all have lycanthropy in some way because they can't they have some kind of hemoglobin deficiency or something like that.
Could be.
I can't tell whether you're trolling or not.
Oh, he definitely is. I don't think that's lycanthropy.
Yeah, they all turn into man-wolf hybrids.
Yeah, they turn into a hybrid of noble commoner at midnight.
Yeah, my character's hair is going to start falling out. My teeth are going to go crooked.
Oh, yeah. Well, good luck. Maybe the werewolf smells the fact that 2 of you guys are now going to be his kin and takes pity on you, and who knows?
He takes you under his wing to show you the werewolf and
show you how to control your
werewolfiness.
Your werewolfiness. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. That sounds fun.
Oh yeah. So my character race is changeling. So I'm thinking about I could shift normally, but now I'm going to shift as werewolf. Can I shift what I look like when I'm in werewolf form?
What does a changeling werewolf look like?
Yeah, I know exactly. I'm as confused as everybody on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're from Eberron, right?
Yes.
Do they have lycanthropy in Eberron?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen the thing is because lycanthropy, especially because
there's actually a race called shifters in Eberron.
Well, yeah, I knew they had shifters. Okay, but
they're still lycanthropes because it's an involuntary change. You don't get to shape change. You become the wolf thing, and then that's just what you are. You have no desire to change back. You just are the wolf.
They're just greatly few in number due to one of the churches in Eberron exterminating them.
No, that's fair.
So yeah, I think you would turn into a shifter. Honestly, you would resemble more of those because that's well, I guess if you're changelings from Eberron,
Well, he's from Forgotten Realms, but it's the Eberron.
There's no changelings in Forgotten Realms.
Yes, there are.
There's just doppelgangers.
No, there are actually changelings. They are rare, though.
No.
Anyway.
Yep.
All right, what else we got to talk about? They've talked about plays and how Waples really hates children's movies. And,
I know, I love Wicked. Wicked's a children's movie.
Is it?
Not really.
Is it though?
Like that book is definitely not a children's book.
Okay, well.
All right. Any D&D stuff?
It's 8-year-old friendly.
I mean, we could talk about how Polka made its way into the Forgotten Realms.
Oh no,
Polka.
No, I just watched the Ed Greenwood video. He details all of that for us.
I don't know. I don't think I would ever have real world shit in my Forgotten Realms games. Like I know it's there.
Same.
Like and I guess the exceptions would be the 80s kids. Like they're like the one exception. But I'm not having polka or other things. Stuff bleeds too much and just becomes a joke at the table.
Yep, that's how you end up with Weird Al Gith Yankovic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I don't wanna know. Like
somebody made a bard for Baldur's Gate 3.
For Baldur's Gate, yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 just warping everyone's perception of what D&D is.
Well, actually, that's something we could talk about is Baldur's Gate 3 because they released info on their next big patch.
Yeah. I mean, just more subclasses. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know why they did that. Like, I'm glad they did. Let me put it that way. But
you should be real happy. You played that game more than any of us, and they're adding the Barbarian Path of Giants for you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but it had to be Karlach, and Karlach's kind of weird.
Or you could play a Barbarian.
Just play a Tav who's a Barbarian.
I don't want to play a Tav that's Barbarian. They all need to be charisma based. But I do really like that they added in the Hexblade because like I was trying to make that work without having with just Pact of the Blade. And
it'll actually be interesting to see how they implement that because I'll bet all of these classes are going to be Larianified. They're going to be not the base D&D stuff.
Yeah,
because they already gave Blade Pact Warlocks the kind of thing that Hexblades originally did.
Yeah,
which was using their charisma for attack and damage. It'll be interesting. So what are they going to do with Hexblades?
Yeah, and like I said, I try to make it work, but spells were just so much more powerful than getting out there and getting hurt and putting yourself in damage. And especially as I was playing through honor mode, so like risking my Tav, in the front lines was really bad. And
oh, you pansy, you!
Yeah,
well, get out there and mix it up, man.
Well, listen, I did
as a half orc paladin and was. It was a little bit rough a couple of times.
No.
I'm surviving. But...
I played my Dragonborn Hexblade that I played in my campaigns in Baldur's Gate 3, and he was a paper cannon, and he would get hit and downed a lot, no matter what defenses I gave him, without like cheesing the game and getting like the Act 3 armors in Act 1 or something like that. He always had too low of AC and didn't have enough hit points.
I never had that problem. I used a Sorlock, but Blade, so up front and personal there. I just always had I had one other melee character, whether it be Lae'zel or Karlach or someone else around, and played him more like a skirmisher. But I did not have a lot of problems with being Tav going down frequently.
I mean, I always had a frontliner with me, but I just find it easier to have a bigger frontliner and just 3 range people and just nuke everything down. But
just get that 28 armor class. That's all you need.
I mean, like I said, I can do that, but it feels cheesy to do that.
I mean, it is.
I mean, if you can do it, do it. It's in the game. I'm quoting you.
Well, like I said, like that is the big problem with Baldur's Gate is no matter what you do, even if you don't cheese it, you wind up with some overpowered, broken build by the time you get to Act 3. So
the builds aren't what makes things broken; it's the magic items that makes things broken.
Yes,
well, yeah, that's what I mean.
I get an extra bonus action if I'm less than half hit points. It's I can cast a bonus action spell, or bonus action enchantment or illusion spell if I hit somebody
with a sword
once. I mean it. Yeah. Which then synergizes with arcane acuity, and you have a DC 27 for your mass hold person, and then suddenly you're just swing with advantage against everybody. It's magic items that are very cool for video games that I would never, ever, and no DM in the right mind would ever let be in a game because holy shit, they're game breaking.
I remember one person was talking to me. This was years ago in AL, and how their DM gave them Tasha's book of her Demonomicon, whatever she has.
Yeah.
And she was learning all the summon demon spells in the game and everything, and like
Demonomicon.
Yeah, and she said the game wasn't fun anymore because the encounters were just boring, and she could just kill everybody instantly and summon all these massive demons to show up and do her bidding. I was like, yeah, that's why you don't
optimized your way out of the fun.
Yeah, and I feel that's where Baldur's Gate kind of dies. Like I said, there are so many out there, but I did see that there are people out there who started modding the game and bringing in their own adventures or making some of the book adventures over. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, part of it is that's why I play the way I do, playing kind of a glass cannon kind of character in melee, because it is more risky and it's more fun. I'm not super optimized. I'm still quite squishy, even if I have the cool stuff.
Yeah,
I can hit somebody with a sword and then you cast that illusion. Like when you land hits, like there's still that element of risk, and so that makes it a little more fun because there's still that challenge. Because I do not have a tank; I have a very glass cannon tab.
Yeah, but the thing is that you really can't run that risk in auto mode, or you just wasted your 100-hour game for nothing. One wrong turn in a round, and you've lost everything. And you got to start over again.
I'll be real interested to see what changes they make, because like the Arcane Archer was always just a terrible.
Oh yeah. Christian had an Arcane Archer in his game, and that
I gave him cool magic. I gave him
real
cool
mediocre the entire time. It's like should have just gone with like just having maneuvers instead, and probably would have done better. Like it was bad.
My wife is having that problem with her bard right now, where like she doesn't know how if she should go more DPS focused or she should go more support focused, because it feels like all her support stuff is like save or suck, and that's kind of
if you're playing a video game, like Baldur's Gate 3, bards are everything. Bards are like the best class in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But in tabletop, I mean, they tend to lean more towards support. Yes, they can be a little bit DPS-y, but they're never going to be as good as this DPS-y as the actual fighter types,
like wizards and sorcerers. And
they're not going to do as much damage with spells. They're not going to do as much damage with melee, but they're going to kind of add to it, which is why they're support. Mm-hmm. But like Christian played a support in my Ravenloft, played a bard in my Ravenloft game, and he was basically the backup healer. He was the backup. Once he ended up getting 10th level, he can cast a fireball. He can throw some fireballs down, because for a while there we didn't have a wizard. We only had a divine warlock, or whatever that was, celestial warlock, before you respect. So bards are great though. Bards are and honestly in 5e 2024, I think they're even better because they can reactively give you that bardic inspiration.
I kind of filled the gaps wherever I needed to be. If we were in a melee situation, I could be kind of a backup melee character that I could stand my own okay-ish. Mm-hmm. I could do a little bit of healing. I could do a little bit of damage stuff. I could do a little bit of control stuff. So I just kind of flowed wherever we needed more coverage. That's where I would go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they can do everything. Well, I guess I was going to say you can do everything but take hits, but then I remembered I actually ended our campaign the week before Thanksgiving, right after our podcast we recorded, right before we recorded our podcast last week. So I guess I could actually talk about that some too.
Can I just interject a little thing that when talking to some people at our party last night, they got on to talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and Solasta, and something that's going to make me revisit Solasta is that somebody 2 years ago created a direct copy of the Temple of Elemental Evil module.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. We talked about playing it on stream. We talked about playing that on stream quite a bit.
Apparently, it's 30 hours of gameplay, and it uses some of the Lost Valley DLC to create some of the monsters. But it's 26 maps, taking characters level from 1 to 11. So it's got 5. It's the only one with like a full 5 stars and as many comments and likes and everything on it on the workshop here, and apparently it's quite good. So I actually never got to finish Temple of Elemental Evil whenever I played it many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to actually do that.
I might actually try that out. That might be fun.
Yeah,
I would also say for Baldur's Gate 3, if you want more challenge, there is a mod that is similar to one of the options that you could enable, and I did in our Divinity Original Sin 2 playthrough. Wavels, you're too much of a coward to enable this option, but they had an option called Combat Randomizer, where every fight, at least one enemy would get some random buff or effect. And that would make weird things. And Divinity Original Sin, there was everything from like the guy just trails fog everywhere, so he's constantly making it, to like he's surrounded with a lightning aura or a fire aura, or it was just a bunch of weird effects. But it was there to make the fights more challenging and more difficult, because you wouldn't know. So even if you'd played the game before, you would go into fight and know that something is going to be weird about this fight, and I have no way of predicting what it is.
Well, I mean, that's what I get right now with Baldur's Gate 3 going through with honor mode, because I haven't looked up the fights or anything like that. I know what the fights are, but their legendary actions and whatnot completely change.
Oh, I was surprised almost every time by legendary.
Well, someone has done a mod of that similar thing for Baldur's Gate 3. So for every fight, at least one, sometimes two NPCs will get a random buff that gives them anything from legendary actions to paladin auras to other things, just to make it more difficult and more unpredictable for if you've already played the game.
Yeah, like I said, the only reason that I'm kind of like iffy now and kind of like trying to optimize my build to Baldur's Gate is I don't want to lose, the honor mode run, because I'm not cheesing it out and taking the Act 2 ending. I'm not, trying to overpower myself by using the Act 3 gear in Act 1 or anything like that.
I do like that they made it so that you can create a custom difficulty setting where you can use honor mode as it, but you can play all the honor mode difficulty and content, but you can still have a save.
Yeah, but you don't get the shiny golden dice if you don't get the
No, it's not. You won't get the shiny golden dice, but it allows
already
you.
Have them. Don't need to do it.
If you were somebody that wanted to do an honor mode but didn't feel
Baldur's Gate an honor mode.
Oh God, months ago.
Yeah. Lazy.
Yeah. Check my account, bro.
Yep, he's ahead of me. He's ahead of you.
Like, I've been ahead of you for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like it as an option for, hey, if you want to play with all the more difficult fights, but don't want to have to like stress about I have to play perfectly. I just want to goof off and play fun Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want. I want Larian to release a tabletop RPG. I don't know why they haven't done it for Divinity. They've released a board game for it.
Probably because it probably works better as a board game than as a tabletop.
It's not their bread and butter, and they know it. They had help with the board game. They brought in people that made board games because they said, we are not board game people. We like board games. We have fun playing them, but it is not our expertise.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them for that. It's they have a really good, Divinity's definitely a good world, a good fantasy world to have stuff in.
Yeah, the lore is there. There's shit tons of it.
Oh, yeah.
So you could easily, just bring in a couple of people who are familiar with putting together tabletop games, make a small little division and do that.
Somewhat related, Hasbro owns several game development studios. One of them is not making a D&D based game. They're making a sci-fi game called Exodus, I think is the name of it. It's headed by James Olin, who has done things like Chains of Asmodeus and Minskin Boo's Journal of Villainy.
Right.
So he's heading up this game studio where he basically went to it with the agreement of, well, I get to have creative control and do what I want. And he's making a sci-fi game. Well, he has also just come out recently and said that they're going to actually make a tabletop RPG based on the video game that he's still developing, and he's going to write it.
Good.
That's cool.
WotC is going to publish it.
That's really cool. It is a different kind of beast. Like some games that we play would work very well with like the zombie side rule set or something along those lines. Not everything works well converted back down to like D&D or tabletop,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, Looking through my achievements here, Waples, I managed to achieve the Faux Hammer, complete the game in honor mode, on June 5th. So it's been quite a while.
Well, several months ago.
I see you had the achievement here for having sex with an illithid. Why?
I actually don't think I did. Did I?
Oh, we definitely do.
That's the cool part of playing it on the stream is you can get it so like people can help vote on your choices. So people watching get to help choose your choices, and that was the choice. So.
I'm actually surprised by how few players actually get some of these achievements.
Well, Baldur's Gate was bought a lot, and not a lot of people played through it.
Yeah, I mean, like only 5% of players have completed on Tactician mode. Tactician mode, like that's.
Most people did not play on Tactician mode because one of the things they even talked about is that tons of people bought Baldur's Gate that were not D&D people, so they played on whatever the standard difficulty is.
On balanced mode, you can't even multi-class.
I mean, yeah. I don't have complete the game in Tactician mode, and I've played through it twice.
You played it in balanced mode?
The first time I played it in whatever it started at, and then we played it on stream, and I don't know what Waples had it set at, but it obviously wasn't Tactician mode. So
interesting.
I remember multi-classing a lot. So
we multi-classed for sure.
Yeah, multi-classing is prohibited in balance, I think. This one is.
I don't know how that works then, because I we absolutely multi-classed.
See here. Okay, so wait a minute. So there's Explorer mode, which is the one where you can't. You must have been. So you guys must have been in balance mode. So Explorer mode is basically just you're there for the story.
It's story mode.
Yeah.
All enemies have their maximum health drop by 30% in comparison to Tactician, where enemies have almost twice as many hit points. Party members receive 100% bonus hit points, and items purchased from merchants are 20% discount rate. Okay. Multiclassing not allowed in Explorer difficulty. So yeah, you guys, I don't know. So yeah, it must have been in balance mode. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I think balance is the default. If you don't change any of the settings, that's what it goes on.
Yeah, I don't like generally playing games on hard mode, but I don't want to play them on super easy mode.
Tactician mode isn't really that difficult. I think it feels more like this is the mode you're supposed to play if you already know how to play D&D. And balance mode is, and this is what they talk about in Divinity, Tactician mode is the difficult mode, whereas here it is you already know how to play D&D, play on Tactician. Balance is for people that do not know how to play D&D and are just buying this as a video game to play.
It's like when we tried to play Solasta with enemies having 300% health.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And didn't realize it until we died a whole lot.
So the one achievement that I do want to get, and probably will be my next playthrough in Baldur's Gate, would be Jack of all trades, where you multi-class in every class in one playthrough without asking whether to change your character.
You have to have one level of everything.
We talked about doing that on stream, so everybody in the party does it.
So that means you get no stat increases, no feats.
You get nothing.
You get nothing.
Yeah, you get fucking hit.
You get a little bit of something of everything.
Hit points and first level spells.
That sounds hilarious. That sounds like fun.
I would do that. I would, if Waples, if you want me to ever stream it again, that's what we have to do.
All of us do Jack of all trades?
All of us.
On honor mode?
No, definitely not on honor mode. No,
don't do that on honor mode. Do that. That's
it'll be a short game on honor mode.
Very
do it on
quick.
Tactician.
Yeah, I did a bunch of honor mode runs and got pretty far. I fucked up once where I was playing a snarky tiefling monk, and I was snarky to the Githyanki queen, and she wished me to die. And I'm like, oh well, there goes that run. I knew it was there too, and I thought it was like deeper the conversation, not like my initial snark would just get me killed, and just the initial snark got me killed. And I felt really bad about that.
Found out.
Yeah, I did. But like, there's fucking like one fight right after the Nautiloid where there's like 3 mind flayers not mind flayers, the 3 intellect devours.
Yeah,
I've lost so many fucking runs right there with those fucking things. I don't know why.
Not surprised, because they're for a, if you go through and you've only picked up usually Shadowheart there, like you guys are level 1, right? Maybe level
No, you're
2?
level 2. Unless you forget to level up to level 2, which happened once.
But it's still like you just don't have a lot of hit points no matter what you're playing, and they only have to hit a couple of times to down you.
All right. So the first time I died because I specifically got to I had level 2. I was like, you know what? I want to wait for a little bit. I don't know exactly what I want to do yet with level 2. I'll just do a couple fights and get Lae'zel and be on my way. And I died to the mind flayer. So I was like, fuck it. Okay, well, next time I remembered to level up to level 2 and fought the intellect devours. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just use my scorching hands on them. So I just gotta wait for them to group up. I'll get myself into position for this. I'm gonna be cool. And they killed me. And then the third time, I was like, I ain't gonna die to this shit. And then I died to that shit. And I was just like, how? And
because being second level sucks.
And then I just gave up on doing sorcerer. I just consider it being completely cursed. And then I did my Black Dragonborn Hexblade style build, and I got to the Goblin encampment and fucked up my first interaction with Doors Raglan, the Hobgoblin guy, and I went to like hit him and everyone else around him with burning hands, and I put down like a illithid like oil barrel thing you can get from the Nautiloid. I was gonna hit him right out of the gate because I knew this is honor mode and it's gonna be difficult. But the second I started casting burning hands, like he aggroed me and just absolutely destroyed my spellcaster, then absolutely destroyed the cleric Shadowheart, and then I started running away with Lae'zel and my warlock, and I ran back, and I was hoping I wouldn't aggro Priestess Gut because she was in her room. At least that's where I left her, but nope, here she is. So she got into the fight, and that's where I died. So I gave up doing that. And then now my current run, in which I'm playing a Drow Paladin, I'm at the end of the game, and I'm just like, I don't want to do anymore.
So does that make you a Drowladin?
It does.
Yeah.
I chose a Drow Paladin. Like, you start off with Cleric of Lolth in whatever cleric you want to be, and you swap over to Paladin, and you just keep going up Paladin, and you get all this unique Paladin dialogue that they took out of the game because it took away Paladin religions as part of the Paladin class. So there's been a couple times where, like, I've had the option to be a Paladin of Lolth and give a very Lolth-based answer to some questions and answers, and pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, Paladin, I think, is probably your easiest route to going through the game because you're a tanky fighter that can also hit hard, and you have all the charisma you need. So it's got all the tools.
I did notice too that they did fix the issue that I guess that I had with Jay, or Jay had with me, where the fighter got like 17,000 hits in a turn. If you're hasted now, you don't get all your extra attacks.
Not in honor mode, no.
Yeah, your hasted attack only gives one extra attack, like it should.
Yep.
So if we do play again, just know that changes now in the game.
Well,
it's only for honor mode, though. It's only for honor mode.
I think when you do the special thing where you have all the honor mode stuff without the save requirements, you still do it that way.
You do a custom difficulty, and then you choose the honor mode as your rule set, and you'll still be bound by all the honor mode rules, and all your enemies will have your cool legendary actions. But you're not stuck with one save. You can save, you can reload and stuff if you fail stuff.
Yeah, that sounds much more interesting than just another normal playthrough.
Yeah, the honor mode, the legendary actions that they did, honestly, from a conceptual standpoint, are so much better than the legendary actions in the tabletop game. I don't know how transferable they would be. I think some of them would be okay. Like, Doors Raglan's, his legendary thing is an aura that he gives off to his other people, increasing their damage a little bit, which is that's a mechanic that already exists in the game with one of the Cult of Bane, for example, giving vulnerability to piercing damage and whatnot. The spectator one is pretty much the same thing as the Beholder legendaries. They just get a free eye ray, but his is if you move close to him, he gets an eye ray against you. So
first experience with the legendary actions in honor mode was when I went to go fight the owl bear.
Yeah.
And the owlbear's like, did you know that there's a second owlbear and you're still in level 2? And I was like, oh shit. This is where I end my fucking game. And luckily I had those 2 NPCs I'd coaxed to go into the cave with me, and they died first.
Yeah.
I
mean, I really like what they did. Like I said, it wasn't just a base like, oh, this one gets a free attack or can move without provoking opportunity attack. There was actual thought put into the legendary actions, making them feel like these changed mechanics a lot. And there are some that definitely wouldn't work for the tabletop game. The toll booth guy, his is like you have to, take away all that armor and stuff like that. But it's like a requirement now, which is interesting, but would be hard to work on in a tabletop setting. So I don't know, but the game is fantastic, and I still say that it's gonna be shit no matter when the next one comes out, and it's not Larian Studios doing it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they even try to do, like what Hasbro is going to try to even put together without Larian. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. We'll have to wait and see. But I just want to know more, like everybody else does.
I mean, if they can license the engine that Larian uses, I think that would help out a lot. That way, the next team can just focus on learning how to use the engine and doing a good story versus having to develop a whole new engine or using something like Unity or whatever that's been done 1,000 times. Yeah. So like, I think that's where a lot of the a lot of the challenge can be taken away from. The difficulties of a Baldur's Gate 4 or Planescape or something like that.
I feel like that's not going to happen.
No, it definitely won't. I mean, they own their engine.
Yeah.
And are they building a new one for their next game, or are they keeping their current one?
I think they're upgrading it. They've said they're definitely working on their tool set. They upgraded it between Divinity and this game.
Yeah. That definitely shows. Like we're playing Divinity, I'm like, this is a bad Baldur's Gate engine, but it just that's how good games become better games. So
yeah,
look at Half-Life 2.
God, I forgot about that game.
Yeah, it's kind of hard going back and playing it too.
Oh yeah, but it was fun throwing It was fun throwing barrels at people.
It was life-changing throwing barrels at people. Like, it's something I talk with my daughter a lot. It's like, hey, like this didn't exist back then. Like, you're really spoiled. You get all this cool shit that I didn't have access to.
Goddamn kids these days, get off my lawn.
Yeah, she's playing some like pony horse game where she's got to run around collecting horses and whatnot on Roblox or something like that, and she'll just open up Google. It doesn't even type shit into Google. She just hits the microphone and says, "How do I get unicorn buttercup in horse life?" That's from the other room. That's her way of Googling shit. It's just.
So she doesn't even type it. She just says it.
Yeah, it just screams it at Google.
Does she get the answer?
Yes, that's the whole.
Well then, she's encouraged to keep doing that.
It's crazy.
So did anybody else have an ecology they wanted to talk about this week?
I did not. I did mine last week, so I left this one for you guys.
All right. Well, I pulled up one that I've done a little bit of research on. If we want to chat about it, it is it is not nearly as fucking cool as the Gorbel. I'm just gonna say because I don't know that anything could be.
I saw real quick. I was looking at the Gorbels more after our podcast last time, and I found a picture of a Gorbel like standing on the shoulders of a guy like a parrot. Him just going, ow, at the guy. It was.
Oh yeah, he dug his claws in. You
fucking
can't get him
amazing.
off.
It was one of the best pictures I've seen in such a long time. I'm like, I got to do something with this.
Dude, if I could. So Errol Otis is supposed to be at Gary Con. Maybe I can pay him to draw me a picture of a fucking Gorbel. I would love that. But I pulled up the ecology of the Rakshasa.
All right. Ooh.
Yeah. So first off, have any of you guys ever actually used a Rakshasa?
Yes.
Many times. Mostly in Baldur's Gate. Not Baldur's Gate. Well, I guess
played
Baldur's
against
Gate.
them before, but never actually used one in my own game.
In the Baldur's Gate, which is more the Avernus setting, there's a Rakshasa that is in a trading outpost that roams Avernus. And it's in charge of that, so I've used that one quite a bit. It actually is on one of the Magic the Gathering cards when Baldur's Gate came out. I'll see if I can find it while you talk about it.
Sure.
And there's another Rakshasa in another campaign, if I'm thinking of it correctly, which I won't talk about because someone's playing it right now in this group.
Okay. So I went back digging as always. Dragon Magazine 326 actually has the ecology of the Rakshasa. And I'm pulled up the Wikipedia on it because the Rakshasa is not just a monster that Gary Gygax created, although a lot of changes were made for D&D. But Rakshasas, and this is to quote the Wikipedia article on it, Rakshasas are a race of usually malevolent beings prominently featured in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and folk Islam. They reside on Earth but possess supernatural powers which they usually use for evil acts such as disrupting Vedic sacrifices or eating humans. The term is also used to describe asuras, a class of power-seeking beings that oppose the benevolent devas. They are often depicted as antagonists in Hindu scriptures as well as in Buddhism and Jainism. And the female form of Rakshasa is Raksashi.
Oh, didn't know that.
I did not either. And at the bottom of the Wikipedia article, it does talk about them being in Dungeons and Dragons. So Rakshasas have long been a race of villains in the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game. They appear as animal-headed humanoids, generally with tiger or monkey heads, with their hands inverted. Palms of its hands are where the backs of the hands would be on a human. They are masters of necromancy, enchantment, and illusion, which they mostly use to disguise themselves and are very hard to kill, especially due to their partial immunity to magical effects. They ravenously prey upon humans as food and dress themselves in fine clothing. This next line is my favorite part of all of this. This version of the Rakshasa was heavily inspired by an episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker entitled Horror in the Heights. Are you guys familiar with that show at all?
No.
I have read something about that before. I've never actually seen the show though.
Okay, this might be. I'm very familiar with the show because my brother's 5 years older than me, so he watched a lot of the older shows. He's still obsessed with like 70s TV shows. So Kolchak the Night Stalker, he was this journalist who was into the supernatural, and every episode was like a one-off monster of the week episode. And apparently, with this one, it was a Rakshasa that he was after. And it was just hanging out in a quarter of I think they were in Toronto or somewhere, killing off people, and he was trying to figure out who it was. And it was just, it since it could shape change, it was almost impossible to find the guy. But anyway, so that's basically what Rakshasas are in D&D.
I did find the card, by the way. It's going to be in our podcast chat. It's Mahadi, the Emporium Master.
Oh, okay.
He's one colorless, black, red, cat devil.
Oh, and he makes fucking treasure tokens. I'm done. Sadly,
So yeah, in 5e, the Rakshasa stats is actually pretty heinous still.
they're not. Hold on. Let me finish what I'm talking about when I say that. So I pulled up 2nd edition, I pulled up 3rd edition, and I've got the 5th edition stats pulled up. So 5th edition, yes, definitely still hard to kill. Decent armor class, decent hit points. They're CR 13. They're immune to any non-magical attacks. They're vulnerable to piercing from magic weapons wielded by good creatures. The big thing they have is they can't be affected or detected by spells of 6th level or lower unless it wants to be. And it has advantage on saves against all other spells and magical effects. So challenge rating 13, you're probably 10th level or so when you first run into one of these things, which means if you're a spellcaster, you don't actually have a spell that can hurt them.
Nope.
Like, these guys are brutal against spellcasters, and they always have been. Every version of it has been that way.
Yeah.
They don't have any damaging spells at all.
Sure they do.
I mean, okay.
Dominate person the fighter.
Sure, they get it once a day. That they can dominate person, and then they can have that dispelled. So they don't have any damaging spells in their arsenal in 5th edition. So that leaves them with their claw attack of 2d6 plus 2. Now, that being said, Rakshasas mostly deal through minions. So you fight one, you're probably fighting 10 other guys with it.
Yeah.
That's
how Mahadi works, is pretty much you get to his little bazaar. And yeah, you could attack Mahadi, but he has his Enries and a bunch of other demons. I think he has a Glabberzoo. Like, he may be the focus, but you're fucked.
and that, like everything in D&D I've read about him, including in the ecology, that's basically how they operate. They hide, they work behind the scenes, they move into an area, they sort of take over the area. They'll take over the fucking rogues guild and everything else along the way, and just make a shitload of money and make everybody's life fucking miserable.
Yeah, well, I think that's the
looking at the 5e stats. Mahadi has a little bit of a buff because he's got his demon summon. He also has the spells Banishment and Force Cage that he can cast once a day.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, dispel that.
So, but he's not immune to weapons like the others are.
Yeah, he is. He has the same benefits. He's immune to 6th level and below. He has
He's immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, not just from.
The other one isn't immune either. It just is vulnerable to.
Yeah, it's vulnerable to piercing for magic weapons,
as opposed to older editions.
Yes, the older editions. So the 3rd edition one, they're actually more dangerous. They have lower hit points by a good bit, but it's nearly impossible to stick spells on them in a similar manner because their spell resistance is really freaking high, and they actually have damaging spells in 3rd edition. Not like Fireball or anything, but they have Melf's Acid Arrow. They got Magic Missile. So they're slightly lower in the challenge rating. The 2nd edition one is definitely much more potent in the fact that they just have spells. Because 2nd edition was like that. It's not telling you what spells they have. It's just you get 3rd level wizard spells. So that's Fireball.
If you want to talk about weak Rakshasa, I'm looking at one from Eberron, and they don't got any magical powers.
So the ones from that are actually very, very different because I did read briefly about them. They're like a melee version of the Rakshasas.
They're CR5, man.
Yes, yeah. They're not the same thing, but they are still Rakshasas.
Well, he's immune to 1st level and below spells, but yeah, his melee martial prowess, when the Rakshasa hits with a melee attack, deals an extra 2d10 damage to the weapon's type. That's not bad. But 3 melee attacks at CR5, doing a d8 plus 4 plus 2d10. It's pretty good.
So 2nd edition Rakshasas, they are immune to all spells 8th level and under. So they're just fucking immune to nearly every spell in the goddamn game. It takes at least a +1 weapon to hurt them at all, but they take half. So need basically a +3 to do full damage. But they do have a severe weakness, and a blessed crossbow bolt instantly kills them. And
yeah, I do remember that weird thing. Like it literally, it has to be specifically a blessed crossbow bolt. Like from the DMG. Yeah.
Even 3rd edition, if it has the good property, it deals extra damage. It needs to have the piercing type to do.
Yeah, they completely got rid of that in 5e because, of course, everything's streamlined.
Yeah, I mean, they gave them the vulnerability. They're one of very, very few creatures in 5e that has vulnerability.
I think from the base book, they're the only ones. According to one of my players, I was looking for trivia facts to ask in the Tomb of Refurbishment when I was writing it.
Right.
And that was the thing that he gave me, is that they're the only creature in the base monster manual to have a vulnerability based on your alignment.
Yeah, why the fuck do you even have vulnerability in the game if you're not going to use it?
There's other creatures with vulnerability, but
yeah, it's vulnerability due to
alignment, because alignment in 5th edition largely doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, that's because like fire elementals have vulnerability to cold.
Yeah. But as for the sort of how Rakshasa operate, the according to the ecology of it, they breed just like anything else. They generally have one kid. It's usually raised by. Actually, it says it's always raised by the female of the species. It's always raised by Rakshasa, and it's generally it's a rough childhood. Let's just say that, because they're you're trying to turn them into what Rakshasas are, which are fucking malevolent beings that eat people and take over areas and steal things.
Would a gender fluid Rakshasa be a Rakshas they?
Yes, that is exactly how that works.
And
so that's what I've got on the ecology of the Rakshasa.
I think the cool part about them is their backwards hands. Like I don't care about anything else. They got backwards hands. That's cool enough for me. You could have stopped right there. You're talking people with backwards hands.
How do you play video games though? Like that'd be weird.
I mean, if you look at the picture of the one from Eberron wielding the sword and the shield, it just looks so weird.
Yeah.
Like I can just picture the artist like trying to get that right and fucking up like over and over and over again.
Oh, I have no doubt. One of the pictures I looked at, maybe it was the 5th edition one. Yeah, if you look at the 5th edition one, he's holding a pipe, and I am fairly sure that that one claw that's sticking up, should be curved the other direction. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong because perspective and everything, but
I'll put a big image of it in the podcast chat too.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to tell me I'm wrong, please do. But
no, you're right, because I remember looking at that and being like, it looks a little awkward, but like, it really doesn't matter which way your wrist turns; it's still going to end up the same way. I think it's right. It's just it's no matter which way you draw your.
Yeah, it's hard enough. Look, artists have a difficult time with hands anyway, and now you're drawing the fucker in reverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've actually never used Rakshasa in any of my games. I've never, since I don't run modules, I've never had them come up that way, and I've never used them for whatever reason.
I like villains that aren't, like having a villain that's a wizard that throws a bunch of offensive spells is rough, but the Rakshasa is very, I don't know, it's more malevolent in the background. Like it's there, it does the controlling things and just like dips and just leaves the minions there for you to fight. It feels more like Saturday morning cartoon villain style.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Finding out that there's a Rakshasa at all would be very, very difficult, if not impossible. So you're not, it'd be hard to actually use that.
It's actually quite simple. You just challenge them to a thumb war, and you see how they mess up in their heads. You're like, you're a Rakshasa. That's all it takes.
I have to remember that. Yep.
1, 2. Your thumb's on the wrong side, dude. What the hell? You're a tiger devil. Quite simple.
Yeah, and they are technically fiends.
Simple geometry.
They are.
Actually, I'm curious. I want to look at what they were considered in second edition, or even
I think there were
Monstrosities.
fiends there too.
were they?
I think
Eh.
so.
Everything's a fiend.
I'd have to go digging through the entirety of it because they don't really have creature types.
Yeah.
So I do have a story about, since we're talking about Rakshasa and we're talking about Mahadi. I was playing through the Adventures League and playing through Avernus with them, and we had a paladin who just would not give Mahadi the time of day. And we weren't playing through the book. We were playing through the side adventure that they wrote for AL when they still did that. So that's why he's in both books essentially. And we just had basically the paladin. He just utterly hated the guy. Wouldn't make any deals with him. Wouldn't accept his help at all. And he was generally written, at least in that book, as this benevolent. I kind of want to help you out. Like I have no reason not to help you out. You're gonna, help me out with things, and I'll help you traverse the hells essentially. It's like I just need you to go clear out this place here that's full of bad guys. And he kept trying to attack him, and I had that moment where he initiated combat with Mahadi, and then Mahadi has this way he can just like snap his fingers and teleport all his minions into that room with him. And so it was just the paladin, the rest of the group going, "We don't know the guy." This is 100% him getting absolute fucking curb stomped and then chucked out of the wandering trade area that Mahadi owns. And he wasn't allowed back in. He kept trying to sneak back in, and like the demons would find him and beat him up again and throw him back out. And that was like 3 weeks worth of games. It's just them trying to finish what they were doing there to go off to the next big adventure thing, which eventually they TPK'd in, while this paladin kept trying to sneak his way back into the into the Emporium and fuck with Mahadi. It's pretty great.
I mean, he's a paladin. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, and as long as it doesn't become like a disturbance, it's okay. Eventually, one player made a deal with Mahadi. He's like, "I'll kill the paladin for you." He's like, "Yeah, I'm okay, cool. I don't care." And so, like, he's trying to gain favor with Mahadi, and he tries to PvP the paladin and kill him and take him out.
Oh my god, how'd that go?
Which it went terribly, because you're technically not supposed to do it in Adventures League, but sometimes players, when they when they're happy with it, they're perfectly fine with it. You can let it go by, but generally you discourage it from happening.
Oh yeah, yeah, especially at AL or something like that.
Yeah, you don't want people getting offended and hurt by that. You killed my character.
Yep.
Spend 100 golden resin then. I don't know. That's all it takes.
All right. Well, you cats got anything else to talk about?
Yeah.
No, I think that's good for tonight.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We're out. Bye, Craig.
Did you call us cats because of the Rakshasa?
Yes.
Damn it.
See what I did there?
No.